was awesome. Oops, did I stall it?
Yeah, we started.
Sorry about that.
So, how did you break the tank?
I didn't necessarily break the tank.
You think you broke the tank?
I don't like that term. Okay, breaking implies can't be repaired.
It was working before you got in here.
Okay, so I stalled it out. Big deal. I'm combat testing it.
Combat tested it until it broke. So when you're in battle, were you going to say to the Germans, hold on, Hans and Fritz, talk amongst yourselves, have a couple of schnapps while I fix this tank, it's stalled out. And they're going to go, jawohl, we will have schnapps while you finish tank.
Ozzy and Jack's World Detour, Sundays at 10 on History.
Hello.
How we doing?
This show is so sweet and so funny and just, I mean, how did you guys come up with the concept? And I know that I'd read that you said your dad didn't want to do TV again.
Yeah, I mean, the concept kind of came up through just a casual conversation between a colleague. You know, I have a production company, and we were just spitballing ideas, and she threw out, she's like, well, would your dad ever want to do a history? You and your dad should do a history show together. And I was like, yeah, it's a good idea, but it'll never happen. He doesn't do TV, and he's adamant about, like, no, don't do it anymore. I'm a musician.
Can I just interrupt you for a sec? Why is he so adamant?
Having done the Osbournes and I don't think he was really prepared for what happened as a result, and both good and bad, it just kind of freaked him out because he'd been a musician for like 30 years up until we did the Osbournes, and then he was a TV guy as well. So he was just like, ugh. So I thought nothing of it. Like 6 weeks went by, and I'm in like we were in like a car going somewhere, and I was like in the way back. It was like an SUV, and it just popped into my head, and I like leaned forward. And I was like, hey, would you want to do a history show, like a travel history show with me? And he just goes, yeah, okay, let's do it. And I was like, like what? Okay. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. So we kind of got the wheels in motion and called up a few people, and history was like, yeah, we'll do this show. And I was like, that's like the easiest time I've ever had selling a TV show, ever.
I bet you were prepared for him to be like, never, not in a million lifetimes.
Totally. And
yeah.
But then like when it gets closer, he's like, oh, but like I need my stuff, and I need to go here, and where are we going, and what are we doing? But he was all about it. Like once he kind of took the dive and was like, okay, we're doing this, he was like really gung-ho. And you know, my dad is used to traveling very comfortably. And the places that we go in the show, you can't really get to comfortably. So he was toning it down for himself.
That was actually my next question. Who is the more high-maintenance traveler?
My dad, way more high-maintenance traveler than me. Like, I have a backpack and one suitcase, but my dad has to have... So my dad has these, like, 3/4 length jackets that he's obsessed with. It's, like, his thing, and they're, like, tailor-made and, like, perfect to him. And he has to, like, have a suitcase full of them, and, like... Always...
Even when you're going to the Alamo?
Yes. Totally. And I'm always like, you know, we'd be going to these national monuments, and people would be like, it's Ozzy, and, like, running after him. And I'm like... I could give you a baseball hat and like a hoodie and no one will recognize you. And he's like, nope. I'm like, why? He's like, I'm a rock god. This is how I dress.
You know what? You got to respect that,
Super
right?
humble. Super humble.
I will have to say he's earned it.
He has. Totally. 47 years of doing what he does. Like, okay, you can...
Jacket.
You can pull that card all day long.
How did you guys come up with scenarios is the wrong word, because I actually don't think the show is contrived at all. It's very...
minimally. Like,
minimally, yeah. As compared to like other similar shows.
Yeah.
But how did you guys come up with the tank idea? There's an episode where they make sausage, which is every bit as appetizing as you might think it sounds. There's the trip to the Alamo.
Yep. It really was a kind of collaborative process. So we would sit, I would sit with my production team, and we'd go, okay, well, you know, where are some places that haven't really been on TV much? And then of those places, what are you interested in? Me. And then like, what's my dad interested in? And then we take that list and we go to my dad and we narrow it down even further to kind of what he's excited about. And then we send it over to history. And, you know, our team over there basically says, cool. Those are your 10, go and do them.
How do you get clearance?
It's very difficult. I'll tell you what, we had an easier time filming in communist Cuba than we did at Mount Rushmore. As screwed up as that sounds.
No, I believe you, because how many federal agencies do you have to go through to get approval,
Department
right?
of the Interior, like Federal Park Services. I mean, it is just insane. I mean, they had someone following us, typing everything we were saying and sending it to someone in Washington, D.C.
So you're in a file somewhere. Clearly.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
and then we got a Yelp review from the Department of the Interior later.
No, you did not.
Yeah, like basically breaking down their experience of us working with them. It was the weirdest thing.
Were you able to comment on the Yelp review?
I wanted to go back and like basically say, actually, that's a bad review, and here's why. It was really weird. But then Cuba, we literally went into Castro's office and put our feet up on his desk, and we could pick up the wing of a shot down U-2 spy plane at a museum. Like you're not supposed to do any of those things in any country ever, but yet filming at Mount Rushmore is. Whew. Oh,
I need
guys,
to look up this Yelp review
beware.
immediately.
But here's the thing, though. Mount Rushmore is awesome. Like, so it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Did you get access to super cool places? Well, I mean, dude, the spacesuit, that says it all.
Yes.
But, I mean, I assume you got access to places that if you just went in as, like, Jack with your 2 kids and your wife, they'd be like, maybe
So
not.
we probably got the most access at NASA. They, like, just rolled out the carpet for us. But the cool thing is, the tour that we got is not too dissimilar from like this tour you can pay for, like it's called like the Triple Star, like NASA experience. And I mean, they won't let you drive things or put on spacesuits, but they give you the full, the full runaround. But it was NASA was so cool. I mean, like actually this morning, I had like a Skype conversation with 2 astronauts. Like at the space station. It was like the coolest thing ever. Like,
That's awesome.
I know.
Like, I had no idea your dad was such a history buff.
He is a huge history buff. Like that's been the thing that my dad and I have kind of connected on. Like I'm not musical, and I like the outdoors and climbing and surfing, and like that's the kind of stuff that I enjoy. My dad's a musician and he likes to do art, but our kind of connection has always been history.
I know he's interested in World War II because he was, born in that era,
Yeah.
but what is your past, like, if you could go back in time to any time period, what would it, and that's terrible English and I apologize, what would it be?
I would like to go to like colonial America, like right before Revolution. I know it's kind of weird, but like it's...
No, but you can't even shower.
No, you can't
How would you
shower. Well,
bathe?
but here's the thing, that you can't really shower anywhere in history until about 60 years ago. Like, so I probably would go there. I'd like to go to kind of Roman times. I think, but for me, most fascinating is like early man, like the time where we're like, we really don't know what, like, when we became like fully upright, and that kind of like the dawn of man era is fascinating. Like they're always finding like a bone and they're like, oh, well, this could be the missing link.
Or like you take a stick and you kill an animal for dinner.
Yeah, totally.
Now, as a producer on the show, how do you balance your production company working on the show versus being on it?
So it's real, that actually was it took a minute to kind of get that balance, because I'd be filming all day and I wouldn't be able to have my phone out, couldn't answer emails, so I've got an amazing team that work on this show, and my guy who oversees all my development and production, and then Greg Johnston, who was the original executive producer of the Osbournes, he came to showrun this. So, there's that familiarity. I trust him implicitly. He's not gonna, my dad trusts him. So there's that. That takes an element out of it. But there's a lot of unanswered emails probably from about 6 months ago that I just couldn't get to.
Either you get to at 2 in the morning or you don't.
Yeah.
And, I think that this show it's just so heartfelt and sweet. What lessons did you take away from the Osbournes that you applied to this, either positively or negatively, where you said, I will never do this, or this is what I want to implement?
I think for me, because reality has evolved so much from when we did the Osbournes.
Oh my God, I don't think evolved is actually the correct word.
It's not even the same thing.
It's devolved.
Yeah. When we did it, it was literally like we woke up in the morning and there was a camera rolling. It was like doing a documentary. Now you have to have, story beats, and you got to essentially submit a script to a network, and the network approves the script in order to give you the money to go shoot it. There's just not the time or the resources just to burn through you know, I guess cards anymore. I can't really say tape. So with this, it was that balance of, well, how do we achieve the kind of authenticity that we had with the Osbournes, but yet maintain some kind of structure to where the network's going to feel comfortable. And a lot of that just came from actually not telling my dad what we were doing. So it was like you could still get that. You know, I would say I was kind of 75% in the loop, but there was always that 25% which lent for actual genuine curiosity and, you know, the ability to actually discover things.
So you would just say, hey, Dad, meet me at the car at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, I would know. I'd be like, probably a night before we would go to, say, New Mexico, he'd be like, well, what are we doing? And we're like, well, we're going to New Mexico to, you know, we're going to the Roswell crash site, and we're going to go to this, like, atomic bomb museum, and we're going to go camping. And he'd be like, okay. And that was it. And then we'd get there, and the day you'd wake up, he'd be like, so what are we doing today? We're like, we're going to this museum. He's like, okay. And I would know, like, the point of why we were going, and he just would just kind of follow, and we would, you know, kind of, I guess, backlead, I guess, if we're talking in dancing terms.
What was your most heartfelt moment on the show with him?
It's a good question. I think the times that I probably, like, if I'm thinking if someone's like, oh, World Detour, winter 2015, what comes to mind? I think just probably having conversations with him in a car driving. Just having that more or less alone time for 10 weeks. I mean, we drove everywhere. So for 10 weeks, just having that time spent with him, something you can never get back. And to be 30 years old, and I have my own family, my own kids, and to be able to go and do that with you know, if anyone got the opportunity to do it with anyone's dad, it's just like, that's precious time.
Would you ever want to do that with your girls?
I totally would. Yeah, I'm like adventure dad, so like I take Pearl camping and take her to the beach, and we're always doing some kind of adventure.
Now, when you were planning the show, was there any location that you really, 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 really wanted to hit that you just logistically or permit-wise or for whatever reason just weren't able to?
We tried to go film in the White House. We want.
Hey, aim low, Jack. Why don't you?
Well, you know, I figure Obama's had every other celebrity on the planet there. Like, come on, at least have Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, like he's had YouTube stars go on there. Like, come on.
They said they were like, we're busy.
No, it was they need 90 days ideally when you submit, and you have to have like a congressman basically give you your local congressman has to give you a thumbs up. Then you submit for 90 days, you know, ideally. No less than 21 days though, and we just couldn't make it work. They were too busy, and there was probably some crisis going on at the time, but we went to the British Embassy instead.
Good enough. I mean,
right?
Hey, you know, given where your parents are from.
Exactly.
But that's crazy to me that like Elvis and Nixon could have a meeting in the White House, but like you guys couldn't shoot there.
Totally right. Well, let Elvis with a gun on him, no less. That happened.
What do you want to do? I mean, I assume there will be a season 2.
Hopefully. I mean, if people keep watching it.
What would you want to do in season 2?
Season 2, there's been all sorts of kind of, I've had like, you know, because we're so fresh in season 1, I would like to do along the same lines, but maybe have a bit of a series thesis, like, is it conspiracy theories? Is it mysteries? Is it like, what component of history are we now focusing on in everywhere we go? Like, is there a through line through the whole series?
Now, and I wanted to ask you, you have been a slightly different tangent. You've been so open about your health, which I think is so commendable. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. Yeah, like touch wood. You know, going like 4 years now with any like significant like symptoms. So that's a good sign, and still on like a treatment plan. So it's good. And now
you're going on the road, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess staying active is the best.
Well, exactly. Yeah, and I work out a lot and eat right and try to anyway, and try and I figure if I take care of me, me will take care of me. That makes sense.
No, but it's really cool. Like I love the fact that you shared that with people and they responded so well to it.
Well, that was the thing. Like when I got diagnosed with MS, there was no one in their early 20s who was like very public about it. It was like this weird kind of shameful thing in the shadows, and because of the kind of the public perception is that you kind of can't function as a person anymore once you have this disease. It's just not true. And so I think that shame has caused a lot of people to kind of not be honest to them, to other people. And I got, because of that, there's such a lack of information. So I was like, hey, there needs to be someone drawing attention to this, beyond just a blog here and there.
Well, I just think anytime someone famous can draw attention to a cause or an issue or concern that regular people don't have access to in terms of information, I think that's super commendable. So
Thank you.
well done. Now, I do have to ask you, when you're traveling with your dad,
Yes.
back to the show.
Okay.
When you're traveling with your dad, what was the craziest fan response? I assume people chased after you guys.
So it was the Alamo. That was insane. There was literally 1,000
Why am I not
people,
surprised?
right? Yeah. There was 1,000, must have been 1,000 people in front of the Alamo when we turned up. It was like a mini riot. The police had to bring in extra people. Like, it was crazy. And we're like, this is not, because what ended up happening was we'd managed to keep things so under the radar everywhere we went, but a member of like the city council announced it at a city council meeting in front of like the entire everyone. Hey, Ozzy and Jack are coming to San Antonio to the Alamo, and like it just ignited a slight fire.
How do you guys film around that? Or you don't?
We don't. We filmed through it. We literally just had to kind of part the sea of people and just try and accomplish what we wanted to. It kind of ended up making for a better story in the end of the day. But it freaked my dad out. My dad's really, he's obviously good with crowds, but I think he likes to have some stage separating, It's like when you're on a stage, you don't feel like you're in it. And so when he's in, he's just a bit like, ah.
And what was it like filming in Cuba? Like you said that it was easy, and you had access to things that no human should have access to.
Right? Filming in Cuba was insanely easy, and I guess the perks of, when you film any kind of anything, crowds gather. People just are like, oh, what is this? And in America, you can't be like, scram, like you're disrupting, it's a free country. In Cuba, when the local fixer gathers scram, everyone's like, okay, we will leave. Like, like, okay, I'm sorry, we don't punish us. Like, everyone just, if someone in authority is like, do this, that person will do it. And so it kind of made things really easy. And everyone was like super friendly, and because we weren't doing anything political, they had no reason to be very like super hands-on with our content. They were just like, hey, come, this is open, and primarily we were going to either kind of national monuments or museums or what have you. So, and their mindset is, this is by the people for the people. So it is not ours, so we do not have ownership over it. The people do. And so it's like this really kind of strange, free, but it's weird. It's like to say something is free, like the level of freedom in a communist country just doesn't really seem to add up.
But I see what you're saying is that it's not as micromanaged as Mount Rushmore, for example.
Totally, yeah.
When did you first become interested in history?
Probably when I realized it was the only subject at school I was good at. Like, I was like, I just I loved the stories. I loved, for me, history is all adventure. Everything, like, you strip it down, it's, one adventure to the next. And I just loved that, from like, the Aztecs to Romans to Greeks to Egyptian, whatever, like all the early civilizations and the stories. And, I think every nation follows the same trend. And it's like this strange thing, like, people like, why is this happening again? You're like, because I think history is just human nature at this point.
History repeats itself over and over.
Constantly.
So we're going to assume that when our next president is sworn in, Hillary, when she's sworn in, you could reapply to shoot at the White House.
Probably, yeah.
But if you just say, no more White House, not interested, what dream locales do you want to shoot in?
Man.
Like if money and geography was not an object.
Money and geography. I would like to, I would love to go to Egypt. Things have probably got to calm down over there. Hillary's going to have to send a few drone strikes over there beforehand. But Yeah, I would love to go check out the pyramids. I would like to go to Greece. I would like to go, go to some of like the real ancient civilizations. I really wanted to do a New Orleans episode. I love New Orleans, and that place is, talk about a unique culture within America. Like, it doesn't get more,
A microcosm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, they have their own language, their own cuisine, their own architecture. And like Louisiana as a whole is like its own country, really.
And are you going to involve your sister or your mom in anything? Do they want to even?
I don't. My dad got sick when we were filming, and we had to delay an episode. And my sister was like, "Oh well, I'll just come in and fill in for him." And I'm like, I don't really think you're history demographic. Fashion and purple hair just doesn't really fly with history viewers.
You guys could do Versailles.
We could do Versailles.
Trying to think of fashion-y Milan.
Yeah, we could totally do the history of fashion.
There's 2 things for you right there.
Yeah.
The shoe museum. That's compelling. Wow.
The advent of shoes. It's a big deal.
So you're saying you're going to stick with your dad?
I'm saying, but if there was a way to have an organic tie-in with my sister, totally.
She's pretty cool. I've met her before. She's really smart and really funny.
She is.
I like her a lot.
She is, totally.
She's a cool girl. And now to our audience, please.
Open it up.
Hey, Jack.
Hello.
I was wondering, while you're traveling, what do you do when you're not shooting or when in your downtime? And what music do you listen to besides your dad's?
Okay.
What if you're like, I never listen to my dad's?
I do actually, and my daughters. There's this weird like Black Sabbath lullaby album where they just cover Black Sabbath songs in the form of lullabies, and that's all my kids want to listen to. Like, we're in the car and I'm just driving at like 2:00 in the afternoon. There's a lullabies, and they're just like, it's like Iron Man lullaby. It's weird. I love Radiohead. I love Tool, Mumford & Sons. Yeah, all sorts. Like everything from like hate. I listen like from like really like aggressive death metal to like, hippie acousticy banjo-y music. I'm just all over the shop. My dad's music taste is terrible.
What are we talking? Like how level terrible?
Like, we got in a fight and he just put his headphones on and listened to Chicago.
No.
So like, I'm like, all right, dude, you do your thing.
I thought you were gonna say like Toto.
He might as well have. But yeah, it's probabed. Did that answer the question? I think it was.
And what do you do in your downtime?
Oh, downtime. Yes, downtime. We don't really have much downtime. I'm either, I hang out with the crew a lot. I don't like to just be in my hotel room. I'm like, and fortunately, a lot of my really good friends work on the production, and so we, spend a lot of time together. We go to like, it's funny, like, even though it just would never make the cut, probably the most fun we have on the show are the dinners after we're shooting, where like everyone's together, and we, a guy named Bert who works on our crew, we give him a birthday cake every single time we sit down for lunch or dinner. Everywhere we go, someone brings out a birthday cake.
Wait, you're not one of those evil people that make them sing, right?
Oh, everyone. The whole restaurant. We've had, like, mariachi bands come out. We've had, like, when we went to Colonial Williamsburg, like, a woman with, like, an old fiddle came and sung, like, an old English birthday, like, just weird stuff. And he absolutely hates it.
You think?
And we just keep doing it.
I kind of love you. Just don't ever do it to me, but I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's funny.
Next question, please.
Hey, Jack, how you doing? So going back to the talking point of being able to spend quality time with your father riding in the cars, is there something that you learned about your dad that was surprising that you might have not known before?
I learned my dad is like the most OCD person I have ever met. Like, it's insane. Like, he has to have 2 20-ounce cups of coffee every morning, not one, or like it can't be 16 ounce, it has to be 2 venti coffees. He like will only eat certain things. He's really rigid about like, taking vitamins and medication. It has to be the exact time. Like it's the most insanely OCD. And I was like, whoa, I had no idea you were like, what is it, as good as it gets over here. I was like, okay.
And last question, please.
Hi, Jack.
Hey.
Thank you for being here. So, since you like history, who's your favorite historian or president, or would you like to meet in the past? Like,
Good question. Man. I don't know. I probably would like to have a conversation with someone like Thomas Jefferson. But I would like to bring Thomas Jefferson today and basically show him, like, hey, this is where we're at. What do you think? Because I'm pretty sure he would go, yeah, you guys got that wrong.
What are you talking about specifically? I'm kidding. I think I know what you mean. Yeah, I think he might be a bit appalled.
Yeah.
Would you want to? What historical figure would you want to go on a road trip with?
Man, I think you got to think who's like the most fun. Probably like what was his name? I'm forgetting his name now. He was like some British Earl. The Earl of Rochester. He was like a crazy, just party animal guy. He was, I think he died of like syphilis because he just was like this crazy drunk, like man whore. And I just think in my younger days, that guy would have been awesome to go hang out with.
Get in a car and just drive
like,
to New
hey
Orleans.
dude, hey Earl, we're gonna go, rage it up.
And when can we see the show?
The show is on Sundays at 10 on History.
Thank you so much, Jack.
Hey, thank you.